All right, welcome to North Georgia Advocate Podcast 28. I finally got it right this week. I'm not an episode behind. We probably needed, well, actually, it's been 2 weeks. So I'm here. I'm Chris Dyer. I'm here with Viral Chhadua, and we're got a lot to talk about tonight in a short amount of time because we've both just been busy as heck. There's been a lot going on in the county. It's summertime, and it's, there's just so much going on. And I guess the main thing's fresh on a lot of people's minds, Viral, is the county voted 4-0 to take Browns Bridge off the options of being as one of the sites for the courthouse, even though it was bought for that express purpose. And last night, I don't know if anybody's watched it. I've got the link on the North Georgia Advocate Facebook page. Billy Powell got put on the spot for a conflict of interest because he is representing 5 of the owners at that over there that's selling their property.
5 of them. Okay. I didn't know that.
One of them he's been in business with for 20 years, and somebody put him on the spot last night. And
Jody put her on the spot.
No, it was one of the other business owners.
Oh, wow. Okay.
His name escapes me right now. It wasn't Gene Cobb. It was another guy. He put him on the spot, and Billy said, well, I've done talked to my attorney, and I'll refer to my attorney, and conflict of interest is only if you're representing first family members, like immediate family members, which is your wife, your brother, your sister, your mom, dad. So technically he's not breaking the law, but it's just unethical as hell.
So he's representing them in a like as their agent to sell the property to the county?
As I guess, yeah.
And that's not a conflict of interest in regards to, okay, well, I'm going to vote that the county pursue this land because now I have insider info and I can use that as leverage for my clients to get the most money possible from the county that I'm also supposed to be working for.
See,
right.
The best I can tell is some of them may just put their land up for sale to see what the hell they can get out of it before it goes to eminent domain.
Sure.
The land's going to be gone to start with. Anyway. And one day,
I saw Stephen Gailey's comment on Facebook about how this could be potentially reversed in January come the two new commissioners. So maybe things change. I don't know where either Mark or Tyler are gonna potentially land on that spot.
Well, I know Mark said last week on Greg Poole's hour-long show on WDUN that he started to be on Browns Bridge. That's where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. I think money speaks a lot of volume, and you got a lot of good old boys that have invested in downtown, and for the growth of downtown and whatnot. There's a very slim chance, for what Stephen was saying, in my opinion, there's a very slim chance that it gets turned back over. Back in January.
If it's not feasible, they don't even know the cost that it's going. They predicted last night that it cost $18 to $25 million to buy the property and to pay damages. But they don't know that for sure. I mean, one of the dudes said last night, he said, look, the city's put in a moratorium. I can't build another laundromat inside the city limits or in the Midtown area, in that area that he's in. Not just in the whole city limits, but in that tax district, I guess. Right? And he said, where am I going to go when they shut me down? He said, I can't. He said, I can't move somewhere else and lose all my clientele.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a possible, legal repercussions right there too, to potentially either sue the city and then maybe even the county for that guy.
Well, the city,
if that goes forward, obviously.
They can't sue the city. The way Gibbs was telling it last night, the city's just got to be a willing partner and enter into an agreement, but the ball stops with the county because it is the county courthouse.
Gotcha.
And
I don't understand why. I mean, and actually, I mean, I do understand why the city of Gainesville is not stepping in, and Zach potentially stepping in and saying, hey, I think Brownsbridge is going to be a better look. I mean, they've never planned for the infrastructure for the apartments and all that stuff that they've put in there. That entire downtown Jesse Jewell that runs all the way through downtown from.
You see, and it's not really on Zach because he was on the commission the council for some of it. But a lot of the good old boys, they wanted downtown because it was dead for years. I'm talking 20, 30 years. I mean, it was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted downtown to be vibrant again, so they gave all these tax abatements to everybody. So they didn't get all that tax money to do the infrastructure. And the way the county's talking is the city is wanting the county to help them pay to fix that infrastructure.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like there's no foresight. Like you wanted all of this to come in, but you didn't plan for any potential road widenings.
Well, the city made their decision before Zach ever got on board.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just government short-sightedness.
They made their decision on which way to go. They had that land sitting over there for 10 years and the bridge to nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Courthouse could have went right there. And they'd had the bridge right there. I mean, it would have been a perfect spot.
Yep.
Then they had the old jail up there, and they could have done a lot of things, but they just decided they'd rather go the apartment route. And it's like Gibbs said last night, the city made their decision. If they had wanted it downtown, they wouldn't have made the moves that they made to build all these apartments and townhomes.
Yeah.
But we've got to look at what's the best for Hall County because we're the ones that end up holding the bag.
Yeah, it's not the most efficient way to spend that money, but
and
it's a massive uphill battle.
And another thing, before we get to the uphill battle part, this goes into it. Mandy Harris brought up last night something that nobody had thought of. I've thought about it because I'm in construction and had been in the past. But those roads over there have probably never been touched in 100 years. What's going to be under them? I mean, they've never torn them up and redone them and did them correctly. They've just been building on top of each other since they were originally built. What the heck are they going to find when they dig them up? I mean, they don't even know what's under there because they didn't map them out. They didn't have, some of them they did, but what are they going to find under there?
Well, I mean, that's another unknown and another potential cost that they're not thinking of, and that they're not going to be willing, they're not going to be able to stay within the budget of that 125 million just with that too.
They could out on Brown's Bridge. They said last night they could build 250,000 of the 500,000 that they needed in the first phase. Over here, they can only build like 127,000.
So they're still going to need to buy more land in downtown.
Yeah.
Later on.
And it's a 30-minute walk from the courthouse to anywhere they build over there. I mean, they're still going to have traffic. And the idiots wanted to say, oh, downtown's, the courthouse is what drives downtown. And all the restaurants and stores and all that. And no, it don't. Downtown was dead for 25 years. David Gibbs brought it up last night. The courthouse was still right there on the corner. Those people that go to that courthouse, a few of them might eat lunch up there, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't go shopping. They ain't got time. If you're going to the courthouse, you ain't got food and shopping on your mind. I mean, that's just the way it is. And
there's going to be a lot of, narratives to kind of fit whatever people's agenda there is.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like that Dan Summers last night, he was, you had brought it up that his family owns a bunch of land around the square or on the square, and
yeah, I mean, I think all around Gainesville, but obviously in downtown area, right. Midland area, and whatnot. So it makes sense to go out there. If I owned a bunch of land out there too, I'd be wanting more of the to be staying in a certain location, just so the value continues to appreciate, and I can ask more rent, make more money. So yeah. I get it what the motives are when it comes to stuff like that. Obviously, they're not looking at the best interest of Hall County. No. At this point, neither are any of the commissioners, from what it seems like.
No, they're not. And, and I've brought it up several times.
And maybe there is a lot of pressure from the inside, from the, I guess, the Judiciary Committee. Is that's the one who are requiring or even requesting the new expansion, right?
Well, so they're wanting everything under one roof.
Right.
But Susan brought it up, and then Jody reiterated it last night. They could have everything under one roof if they'll move everything from that building over to the courthouse,
the new one,
Hall County government building, and then use it as part of the new courthouse and expand on top of it and around it. Then they could move everything in under one roof. Then they still have room on the other side to build.
I mean, it would make a lot of sense too, because then you got Hall County's sheriff's office right there within walking distance to the the Hall County building. So I mean, it would be like a centralized location for a lot of things if that were the case, and if that was to happen, for sure. Yeah.
I don't understand, and we talked about this before. Why the hell they even built the sheriff's office right there anyway? They could have built a small satellite office to have presence in, the west side of the county. But why don't put the sheriff's office out there on Barber Road? They could still do that. Build a whole new sheriff's office out there and then use that building for something at the courthouse. And I just don't get it. And if they want somewhere with a lot of land, why don't they come over here on Limestone Parkway and build a Taj Mahal? I mean, there's plenty of land over here. I mean, I get it. I understand they want it downtown. It's been there for 100 years, 150 years, however long the city of Gainesville's been incorporated. And I get it. But sometimes things change. I mean, things don't work out the way when you outgrow your facilities and you don't have room to grow. I mean, where else you going to go?
Right. No, I agree with you guys. It's been kind of the reason I was heavily advocating for a no vote for that SPLOST is because, for one, you got a $125 million price tag on it, but you've done like literally no research as to where you came up with that number. You couldn't defend it.
It was like last night, John Jenkins brought up, we hope to have an architect hired by the end of the month. Why?
Yeah, John Gentry.
Yeah. You don't know what I said, John Jenkins. I got a friend named Johnny Jenkins. My brain's fried. But he, anyway, he said that, I mean, what's he going to architect? You don't even have a site laid out. They don't even know where they can, with the stormwater runoff and all the drainage, they don't even know where they can put buildings on that.
Right.
That cost that much. And I just don't understand. They think that how much the demolition of all them old buildings and all that tearing up with the asphalt, concrete, raiding that land. I mean, that's, what you can't design something till you know what's going on. And the city of Gainesville's started a study, they said last night, about fixing the stormwater and all that, but that's just for what's currently there. That's not has anything to do with the new courthouse, because the city of Gainesville, they don't know what they're going to do until they get this study done, because they don't know how much it's going to cost to fix what's wrong now.
And they're going to go back and tear it up and fix it again when the courthouse goes in. Lovely. I get it. Like this is what always just comes back to this, where they don't care because they're always going to have money coming in.
Yeah.
Or they're going to steal people's properties, essentially. So like they don't care about how to spend the money efficiently. They do not care. They have no incentive to care until people eventually wake up, if that ever even comes in my lifetime. I don't even know if that's possible.
Nah.
But until that comes up and people literally revolt and say, you know what, screw this, we're not paying taxes anymore. Yeah. Nothing's going to change until people realize that this is the only power that you have at this point now. You think your votes matter? We'll find out in January if we made a dent in any of this when Tyler and Mark go into office and replace one of the good old boys. And then, I mean, Poole voted in favor of this removing of Brownsbridge too. I would at least try to save some face and say, all right, well, I'm going to vote no. Let's keep Brownsbridge on the way out. But apparently that was too much.
You know, and anybody knows about Greg Poole's businesses, he does a lot of work with the hospital. Always has. It was business suicide for him to vote against the downtown. With the hospital and all the land that they own around there and all the people that's in the power structure in the city of Gainesville and the board of commission and the Chamber of Commerce, they all sit on hospital boards, and a lot of them do. And I mean, he just could not risk losing all that work.
Sure.
I mean,
that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it always comes down to financial stuff.
Yeah.
So again, yeah, you know, unless you get a bunch of people fired up enough to just say, hey, you know what, we're not paying property taxes anymore. Come take our property. Yeah. I don't think anything's going to change, and I'm going to stick to that until either I die or until it actually happens. Well,
and the thing is, you know, and on the property taxes, I got my assessment today. It come out.
I haven't gotten that yet.
I got mine today. You should get it tomorrow. And it anyway, we got it, and they announced it last week and all that. They don't tell you what your estimated taxes are going to be anymore. You've got to literally go on Q Public and look it up yourself.
Yeah.
Instead of them putting a piece of paper, and I said, oh, it's state law. Well, the county tax assessor's office or Darla's office or whoever mails them out, they could have put a piece of paper in there and printed it out how much. They just want it to be harder for somebody to appeal their taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They just don't want nobody appealing it. And, you know.
Yeah, no, they make this as hard as possible to do this stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it's just ridiculous. And
I just filed an appeal for 2 of our parcels in Forsyth County that still have $1.3 million assessment on it for 3 acres of commercial land, undeveloped, you know, nothing. There's an old abandoned house on it. And it's on the market currently for $650,000 for both parcels. For 3 acres, $650,000. They're assessing both of them combined for about $1.3 million.
Good Lord.
And yeah, and I got to fight this. Like, I'm like, do you not even like consider looking at, hey, is this property for sale or not? And let's see what they're asking for.
Yep. Well, and that's because everybody uses that GMAS and they don't actually go out and assess these properties.
They don't. Yeah, they don't. They literally will send me stuff of like, you know, well, these are the properties that we use to assess the value. I'm like, yeah, that property had sewer attached to it. It had a water line attached to it. It didn't have all these crazy conditions. It didn't have this or that. Well, it's on a way busier road. Of course, they sold it for $2 million.
Well, it's like a lady last week said up in outside of Louisville city limits, there's a subdivision, like a little neighborhood that's got a bunch of 60-year-old houses in it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, and everybody in that neighborhood, they've upgraded their houses. They've been sold off and they remodeled them and they put new carpets and floors and just made them modern. And she said, our house is still like it was. Our property is like 60, like it was 40, 50, 60 years ago. And they assessed my property at the same price as these others. It's got all these.
And I think that's a great valid argument for completely eliminating property taxes for at least for homeowners, get rid of that, because you're not going to be able to keep up with everybody who's done what, and other people get penalized because my neighbor decided to upgrade his house with like $2 million of landscaping and a pool and hardwood flooring and all these upgrades on the inside of my house or inside of his house. All of a sudden my house is worth that much more. Like, I didn't do to it. Well,
yeah, my house, that's going to go up a lot next year. There's a guy bought the property across the house from the street from us on the lake. I live across the street from the lake, but I can see the lake. Great. Bought it for $770,000. Then he's remodeled it totally. I mean, made it. I mean, it's a really nice house.
Yeah.
But his house is worth $800,000 now. Mine's not worth that much. But next year, my house went up $15,000 this year, and the next year it's probably going to go up 50 or 60.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, you got to appeal it, bro. And that's what I tell that's what I'm going to tell everybody too, is like, go appeal it. Even if you think it's oh, that's fine. That seems right. No, go appeal it.
Oh yeah.
Go appeal it.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's right now what it went up this year is not that big of a deal. But next year, if it jumps up 50, 60, 70,000, then I will have to appeal. I'm thinking about seriously appealing it this year. I mean, it's just crazy because we've done nothing to improve ours. I mean,
I think you got to appeal it. One way or another, you got to appeal it.
I mean, we ain't let it run down or nothing. Well, I mean, we did put some steps on the front deck. We redid the steps, but that's not really an improvement, But all right.
So speaking of Lula, though, what's going on with that water situation?
Yeah, they've
asking people to skip baths and not water outside, and is this because of the drought that's going on, or like what's the deal with it?
They claim it's not because of the building.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, you got to protect the Riles. You can't and Pool and the Lula Mafia.
I mean, you
can't blame it on that.
You can't build all them houses up there and put them on that sewer, and even if they got, I mean, the well water, they've got to have a well, and all them people on it is going to drain the water table. The water table dropped so low because of so much use that it drained all the water out of the towers. The towers one was completely empty, and the other tower was almost empty. But now they're building back up, and they've got to deal with the city of Gainesville now to where if they get an emergency like this, they can use city water.
They have to bend the knee to Gainesville.
And that's what Steve preached on our show several times now. They ran that stuff up 365, not for homes. There's not enough capacity on that line for a house. I mean, for all those homes. It's made for those businesses up through there. And then you put the businesses and all those homes. And unfortunately, I think this is going to keep happening.
Yeah.
Until the city of Lula comes into an agreement to where the city of Gainesville goes in and puts water lines everywhere.
It's just funny. It's not communism when the Republicans are asking you to skip baths.
Yeah.
And stop and conserve water and whatnot. It's just funny how these folks' political minds work. That they eat it up, which is the sad part. You got Andrew Clyde condemning and talking all kinds of crazy stuff about Mamdani for asking people to set their AC temperatures to 78 during the heat wave, and then hey, skip baths.
Yeah.
You got like no I don't even know what the word for it is, but you got like no shame in asking people to do that after you just said, hey, that's socialist Democrats telling you what you can do and can't do with your thermostat. Bro.
Yeah, but you're going to
I feel bad. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel bad for the folks in Lula. That's a crappy situation to be in, having to conserve water and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough, and I think that's something the previous city council folks and the mayor possibly have to kind of address.
Not just Lula. There's a lady on Cagle Road, which is right down the road from me. She was talking about how they had lost pressure and the water table, and they had to drill 200 feet deeper last year just to hit the water table.
Oh, wow.
And she said, she just posed the question out there. I mean, reckon the city of Gainesville can help, or can Hall County just not approve all these? And he said, well, why can the city, and Bradley Dunkel pops in there, and why would the city of Gainesville be able to help you? You don't have city water out through there. And saying that the growth is not what caused the water table to drop and all that.
You got to defend your industry.
And I said,
you have to defend your industry.
And then somebody else responded and she responded back and said, you can't tell me all these houses that y'all approved out here in this area has not caused the water table to drop. She said, and he didn't respond, and I just responded to him, and I said, my God, you don't understand this, and you're going to be on our planning commission next year. I said, Lord help us.
That's funny.
You don't even understand the concept. And it's getting to the point to where he works for Rochester DCCM. It's getting to the point, where does Rochester DCCM end and the Hall County government begin?
It's one and the same.
So intertwined. I mean,
got to be one and the same.
It's just ridiculous. And, they need to get rid of the planning commission in general, period. All they got to do is have 2 hearings on it. Hall County can have 2 hearings on it. The commissioners can, instead of having one planning commission and one. Because the staff seems to be doing a great job doing what they're doing right now. I'm sure they may be overworked, but you can hire more people to help.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you got to budget it in already, so might as well use it.
Yeah. And and before we get into the art, is there anything that you want to add that we left out about the courthouse or Lula or?
No, for me, it's more so, did I drop out there?
Yeah, I lost you. I got you audio.
Okay, let me see. How do I bring this back up? It says close other apps that might be using your camera. I don't see that. So try again. This is the app that's using the camera. All right. Let me come right back in here. 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, no trouble.
Nope, still says the same thing. All right. Well, anyways, let me just kind of not be here, but be here, I guess, for this. No, I was just gonna say, hopefully, we get a possible. There's a small chance of change potentially in January, whenever that comes. I would say that Mark's going to be your unknown. I still feel like Tyler, I think, understands the fact that, hey, better use for this money is going to be building it on Brownsbridge Road.
Well, and Tyler's also got to think about, hell, what if Gina gets her signatures with Shannon going after?
Well, you got 10 days, I think, right? 10 days left.
13. She's got 4 days.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we'll know soon enough. And even if not, I don't foresee Tyler losing.
Well, from what we've heard, Will Hyatt and Shannon and Higgins and a few others are pushing for her to get her signatures. So they think they can beat Tyler.
Sure. Hey, good. More props to them if they can beat him.
Yeah.
More props to them.
And if it happens, I'm afraid if everybody thought what Shannon did was dirty, wait till they see what happens if Gina gets on I'm not saying she's going to do it. I'm just saying the people that want to run office are going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make that crystal clear. I'm not saying Gina's going to do anything if she gets on the ballot.
Sure. I mean, that's just us talking. And
I'm just saying that the people that's backing her will be the ones going after Tyler and trashing him, and just like Shannon did.
Well, speaking of Shannon, that was a surprise. Whatchamacallit of
there was
resigning from the planning commission.
Yeah, it was a surprise bitch move. That's all it was. Didn't even have the guts to call David Gibbs and the guy that appointed him and tell him that he was not going to keep serving. I mean, just blindsided him. I mean, how is that possible? I guess when you spend $60,000 and get dog walk.
Yeah. You think there's some bitter feelings there?
Oh yeah. He shouldn't have been riding around acting like a freaking cowboy.
Oh man.
Not pounding the pavement.
Still has his little bot farm or whatever, fake profiles running around Facebook talking BS.
That's not shocking. They don't come back in our group much. I ain't putting, that one guy that ran that John Harbor Bay or Bay Harbor, or whoever it was, boy, he was running his mouth. He got it quite quick, but if they still running around, I don't know why. I don't know what they got to gain from it.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Some people just can't give it up. But
what else we got to get into?
We got the Ark. They were technically the first Airbnb type of site that Hall County ever had years ago. Short-term rentals.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they said the other night. I mean, I didn't know that personally. Monday night at the meeting, they had a big, long, hour-long discussion about this, seemed like. And this dude has got a huge house, like 6,500, 6,800 square feet. Huge house. Got a guest house. And they can sleep up to 27 people. They can technically sleep up to 55, how they want to set it up. And they're wanting to set up an event venue to where they can hold events with up to 80 people there and up to 55 of them staying overnight. And they don't have enough parking on site, so they're wanting to annex in, not really get a variation to where they can use the lot across the street for parking and other stuff. And then it comes out that this dude has not been in compliance with the fire code for a minimum of 15 years.
Wow.
I mean, he's been rolled up so many times. He hadn't put in the fire extinguishers or done anything that if you sleep 15 or under, you got one set of rules. It's just fire extinguishers, smoke alarms, and basic stuff. I mean, it's a little bit more than what a house has, a homeowner would have, but it's still manageable. But if you get into 16 rooms or more, you're considered a hotel or a motel. That's when you get into you got to have hooded equipment in the kitchen. You got to have sprinkler systems. You got to have the emergency doors and everything and all the bells and whistles. And years ago, with the last administration, with Higgins and all them, they got caught sleeping more than 15. And they started advertising it on their website that they could sleep up to 27 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they got caught and had to come up to code, and they just didn't do it. They went back on their website, and instead of advertising they could sleep over 16, they advertised they could sleep 15. And they still advertise they can only sleep 15. But when you go and look at their floor plan and add up all the people that could sleep in a bed, because they figure 2 people per bed, they can sleep up to well over the 15-person limit, well over the 27 limit that they claim on the website. And Greg Poole made great points that why in the world are you even considering giving them an event license when they're not even up to code on anything they've ever done? And they just refuse. And David Gibbs, I think it was Gibbs that brought it up. He used to work 10 years in the city marshal's office.
Right.
And he was a firefighter for 30 years, last 10 in the marshal's office. And, the old administration was pressured to rip up the citations that the owner had been written for the ark. And guess who district this is in and who was fighting for them to get their stuff? Billy Powell.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be a shock to nobody. Now, I ain't saying Billy's the one that told them to rip tickets up. I don't know, but the last administration, which means the county administrator and his staff was pressuring for the citations to disappear. And this guy's never been made to comply, so they put in.
This ultimately puts the county at liability risk, I would imagine, if somebody was to get hurt due to some of the missed fire codes and violations and not having any corrective action being completed.
Exactly. And they called one of the fire department guys down there last night. He was kind of put on the spot. Was Monday night, kind of put on the spot, but he answered the questions. They're not up to code because he is familiar with the property and they've never been up to code. He can't remember last time they were up to code. But then Gibbs or Poole said, well, hell, if we put in there that they've got to be up to code before they get their business license.
That'll make them come up to code. So you're essentially giving him leverage. You're setting a precedent for the future too of anybody just being in non-compliance. Is like, hey, if you give me this, I'll bring everything into compliance.
But who's going to catch them? I mean, he's going to be sure it's done. They may inspect it one time and then he just falls down on the job. It's like the fire guy said, Gibbs asked the question, well, how are we going to catch them if they're sleeping more than they're supposed to be? And the guy said, look, we're just going to have to get up in the middle of the night and just go over there and see and count the people sleeping in the house. And everybody said, well, hell, we know that ain't going to happen. You know, and
yeah, and I think there's like a fine line of micromanaging here again, like I was telling you about Forsyth County. So, all right, at what point do you draw the line as to what's possible, what's not possible? Because I feel like for an event space like this, I mean, obviously one of the big things you can do is you have to have somebody monitoring these folks' VRBOs and websites and stuff and see how much they're advertising for it. Not only that, but maybe even, you know, send in fake requests, sting requests, like, hey,
yeah,
we want to do 50 people. Can you accommodate that potentially? Or, you know, well, I think that's the only way to catch it. Because I think so. I think you give them multiple chances. Obviously, you can get caught in a sting operation multiple times violating something like that. Your short-term rental license has to be revoked.
Well, the way it works, see, we had the house across the street that I was telling you about earlier before we come on air about the guy remodeled it. He bought it. The guy that owned it before him had it at Airbnb. He's supposed to sleep 9 people, but we knew he was sleeping 15 to 18 every weekend. You couldn't even get up and down the road, and we had to literally put in fake. The marshals couldn't stop him. They wrote him up. You got to be wrote up 3 times, and if you don't comply after the 3rd time, then you go to court. Then the court's going to make you rule and make you comply. And if you don't comply with what the court ruled, then you got to pay a fine, like $300 or $400 fine or something. And then if they don't comply, then they go back to court the 4th time. And if the judge feels that they didn't do what they were supposed to do, he rips their business license. So it's like a year-long process to even get it done. And me and my neighbors, we'd have to make fake requests on VRBO and Airbnb to see what he was offering, and then we would catch him in a lie. Then we'd have to take screenshots and send it over to the marshal's office.
Yeah.
I mean,
kind of like code enforcement. I think you got to have like a short-term something enforcement type sting something, you know, because like they do that to us at gas stations where they'll send in some dummy cop asking for cash payouts on the little slot machines.
Right.
So just to catch people, and you know, maybe it's not worth it money-wise for these folks. But if you're going to do short-term rental, because Hall County is very easy county to do Airbnbs.
Short-term rentals,
much easier than Forsyth County.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a lot of people trying to take advantage of that situation.
Well, they do. This guy's he had the property in Gwinnett and Forsyth. So, yeah, he loved doing business up here.
Yeah.
And the thing about us is we're good neighbors. We've never fussed about there's a couple other Airbnbs around here. And the thing about this one is they were parking on the street, and our road's not a wide road. You can barely get 2 cars when they meet each other by each other. And we got a lady that's one of everybody in the neighborhood loves her to death. She's got kidney issues. And about once every 3-4 months, she's got to get rushed to the hospital. They called one night and the ambulance couldn't even get down the road. You know, and that's the main reason. I mean, we could deal with it only happened during the summer months for the most part. And, you know, the overcrowding, you know, and during the warm months. And, but when you got a neighbor that could die if they can't get an ambulance to her, you know, then something's got to give.
Yeah.
Because we like to try to be good neighbors. The other owners that had it, and And if they had regular people there, the guests, they'd even leave reviews on there how good the neighbors were. We'd help them out. We'd, talk to them. But some of those people, when you got 15, 20 people staying in a house that sleeps 9, I mean, imagine all them cars.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get that, and that's it's an emergency risk too, like you just said. You can't have ambulances get down to where they need to get to because the cars are all blocking the roadways and stuff. Yeah, that's it's an emergency issue too.
Oh yeah, and we couldn't even back out of our driveway.
Yeah, and that's an issue, man.
I
would have had every single car out there on that road towed.
We did a couple of times. We just had them call them, and we didn't have no choice.
Yeah.
One night, I was out with some friends, and I had to get a Uber home. I got out of the Uber, and this one dude was bitching at the Uber because he stopped in the middle of the road. And I said, jumped out. I just said, "Hey, what's going on here? I live right there. I can't even get in my driveway." And the dude tried to start a fight with me. They were out there partying and raising Cain, and I just said, "Man, dude, you need to back off." I went in and called my neighbors, and we just started having cars towed, man.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this guy, I mean, and even Greg Poole mentioned it. Maybe even, hell, it may have been Jeff Stowe. I can't even remember. How in the world did they get their business license renewed when they knew they wasn't up to code?
That's interesting too. Yeah, that's an interesting point. When you're in that many code violations, especially fire code violations, how is your business license continuing to be renewed every year? That's actually pretty crazy.
And
where's the slip up? Whose fault is that, Cup?
Well, exactly. And the thing is, and I would bet my last dollar, if he was up to date on his fire code violations, nobody give a damn how many people he was sleeping in that house. Because that place is out on this by itself. It's not like they're blocking traffic or anything. As long as they can park the cars there or whatever, nobody would say a word if he slept over 15 people or whatever, right, if he had just come up to code. And I'm not saying he should do that. I'm just saying nobody would have questioned it. He just basically has told the county to pound sand, "You can't do nothing to me." It's what it sounds like. And he was supposed to be voted on tonight, and he tabled it to the next meeting. It's going to be like August 22nd, I believe. And even if he does try to get up to code, I don't see how he can get up to code in a month.
Yeah. Depends on the violations. Do you know what they are?
They didn't get into it specifically. And I mean,
a lot of times some of those violations are simply just, hey, your fire extinguishers are like way out of date at multiple locations, or you don't have
smoke detectors or
smoke detectors, yeah. And there's certain things where it's like you don't have a handicap parking spot, or you don't have a fire box thing where you can access where the fire department can access. I think it's called a Knox box, where they can access the keys to the residence or something like that. Yeah. So it depends on what the violations and stuff are. If there's something major, yeah, sure, you probably can't get it up to code.
16, there's no way they get the sprinkler system put in.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, at that point, I feel like you would have to revisit and see if it's even worth it, because sprinkler systems aren't cheap. No. And you're not getting that done in a month. Like that's not going to happen. So.
No, and he can't just go in there and run the sprinkler across the ceiling and be it. It's got to be, the ceiling's going to have to be torn out. It's going to have to be put in there properly, and just can't be a rush job. Just
right.
To get the county off his back. And that's about, it's just, and like you said, how do you enforce this stuff? I mean, you got to trust the people.
I might have to go to the next meeting and tell them, "Hey, I got a perfect idea for y'all. Let me and Chris make these sting operations on these Airbnbs."
Yeah, no doubt. We'll give you more. We'll make you more money than
Just give me a tax credit.
Yep, you got that right. But it's crazy how this stuff goes. How people just
Hey, Chris, let me hop off.
Yep,
I got a baby in. I'm sorry.
Yep, well, that'll work. Well, we'll be back probably Monday or Wednesday of next week, and we'll have an update on a lot more, and hopefully have us a guest. So y'all just come back and listen to us then, and we'll talk to you later.